talk to our second special guest for this show, Jessie Pridemore.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Jessie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, on the show, we do feature lots of cosplayers, and you are one of the primo cosplayers.
If you say so.
I do say so,
Yeah.
therefore it's true. So tell us, like, how did you first get into cosplay?
I can show my age a little bit. For my birthday happens to be on Halloween, and for my 14th birthday, I was just really unimpressed with the costumes that were available to me, and my foster dad agreed that he would buy the materials to make my first costume, which is Sailor Mercury.
She's my favorite.
She's the nerd.
I'm more of a Sailor Jupiter girl.
So I made it in 2 days, and it was really bad. I had like a necklace for my tiara, and like all girls my age had a little like electronic diaries, and I painted it to look like her computer. And I used to get my hair cut like her, and then my hair's naturally a really dark brown, so I bought like the spray blue stuff and tried to. It didn't work. But I was really excited because I was Sailor Mercury, and she was my favorite, and I was in love with Sailor Moon. And the next year, my uncle took me to my first convention. He built a Boba Fett costume and didn't want me to not fit in with everyone else, so he put like a little tunic on me with a belt and a lightsaber and like khakis and boots, and I was his little Padawan. And I wrote like Jaina Solo on my badge in Hugh Ledger's, which I guess doesn't matter anymore. And it all went downhill from there. The year after, I went to my first anime convention, and now I go to like 15 a year.
Wow.
And sometimes as a guest.
Yes.
Now, aren't you making some appearances at conventions this year?
I am a guest at MechaCon in my hometown of New Orleans this year in August. I'm a guest at MizuCon. I will be working at Anime Central in less than 2 weeks. I am the assistant department head of the masquerade department, so you'll see me running around like a chicken with my head cut off a lot. I will
Is
be
that
running
a cosplay? The chicken
Yeah.
with the head?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
actually
literally.
my most popular one right now. I will be doing 2 panels at Anime Expo. I'll be doing my How to Wear Skimpy Costumes While Still Being Modest panel and my Shut Up and Cosplay panel. But that weekend, I sew for Cypher Art Studios, which is the company that does the Labyrinth Masquerade Ball every year, which is a masquerade ball themed after the movie Labyrinth. And it runs the same weekend as AX, so I split my time between performing at that and so.
Nice.
Yes. I have some other conventions I'm negotiating with right now, but they haven't been announced.
Cool. So when you first started out, you picked a character because it's one that you love. Is that always the case when you choose a character to cosplay?
Not necessarily. I still, most of the time, they're characters that I really, really love, but design's usually first and foremost with me, especially at this point in cosplaying. I've been doing it for almost 15 years now, and for me, it's more about the challenge. So usually the design catches my attention first, and I try to pick something where I'm learning a new skill with each costume that I build. That way I can expand what I know and how I build things, and then I can also share it with other people and tell them how I did it.
And there's some controversy within the cosplay world about like body type or gender or different looks. Do you feel that you have to really look like the character to begin with?
I don't. I think cosplay is about fun. And when I was younger, I was a lot more strict about it and even limited myself on what I could do and what's appropriate for my body type. I went to WonderCon a few weeks ago and I cosplayed Power Girl. And I was really excited about it because I really love Power Girl. When Amanda Connor was doing hers, she was really strong. She was a businesswoman. She had this really adorable kid sidekick, and she was fantastic. And she's alternate universe Supergirl, so if I'm going to cosplay a version of Supergirl, technically I need to throw a Power Girl in there. And I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm not the largest breasted cosplayer by any means, but I was probably the buffest Power Girl because I work out a lot.
I believe it.
No, it was great, and it had such a positive reaction, and it inspired other people to do costumes that, you know, aren't necessarily in their body type, and that's really what I'm all about, is inspiring others to do what they want to do, and, you know, it's all about challenging yourself and doing what you want to do. Otherwise, it's not fun, and then, you know, why do it?
Amen, sister.
Exactly, yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
When it comes to anime, we see a lot of, especially in the show just out, like the long, skinny, only white girls. How do you feel about like body image when it comes to cosplay and representing these characters?
I mean, unfortunately, I can't completely speak on that because I'm obviously very similar to the body type they portray. So I don't know what it's like to be somebody who's on the opposite side of the spectrum who wants to cosplay something like that and feels like they shouldn't. But from my point of view, I think that they should. I think they should do what they want as long as it makes them comfortable. I, a few years ago, did something that offended a lot of people, and I didn't mean to. I darkened my skin for a character. And it's a character that doesn't have a pronounced origin. They never say her true ethnicity. They never say where she's from. But people were pretty up in arms about it. And for me, my brain just didn't work that way. So at first, it took me a long time to understand why people were offended, because in my mind, I was like, this wasn't a case of me trying to offend people. This was a case of me challenging myself. And darkening your skin is incredibly hard. It's really hard to make it look convincing. And I haven't done it since. But it was a very interesting experience. And people are very sensitive about the issue, especially since when you aren't white or when you're not skinny or when you're not large-breasted or whatever, you do feel excluded and you do feel like there's not as many characters available as you as other people. But the internet hates everything. Who cares? It's something that I've had to come to terms with because it is really difficult to deal with that. I mean, I get posts on the internet, I get called racist, I get called a man. There are extensive debates about me being a man to the point where trans people email me asking me seriously for my doctors. And there's just a point where you have to realize that there's a great Dita Von Teese quote, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, but she says, you could be the Swedish peach, most delicious peach, but there's going to be someone out there who doesn't like peaches. And that's really what it boils down to. Somebody's going to hate it. But you know what? I've had overwhelmingly way more love in the community than hate, so you got to keep going.
We talk about the cosplay community. Is there, you meet each other at cons? Do you keep in contact outside of conventions? Is there other, opportunities to kind of incorporate cosplay into your life? Because it's kind of your livelihood.
Well, yeah. I mean, I sew for Cypher, so that's kind of what I do, and I do commissions once in a while, and I get hired by companies to make costumes and promote their events. So, I mean, it's kind of become a lifestyle, and it's really cool. I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's great to be able to, do what you love for a living. I mean, there is kind of a rift in the community right now where people are like, oh, you shouldn't be able to make money off cosplay or make money off what you love, and I completely disagree. And I am a published photographer. I did photography professionally when I lived in New York, and it was still my hobby. So if you can make money doing what you love, go for it, by all means. But it bleeds into so much of my life. I actually don't really have that many friends who aren't in the cosplay community by some capacity. So it's always really interesting to sit around being like, who do I have that's not a cosplayer? Oh, nobody. And so many of the friendships that I have, I've had for years and years. I'm one of the guys that works with me at Cypher. I've known him since the 90s. So it's kind of really cool to have known somebody that long through conventions and cosplay.
Absolutely. So do you have any advice for someone who's transitioning from that, I just want to wear a costume to I want to make money doing this? Is there an easy way to do that?
I'm really lucky in that respect. A lot of it I stumbled into accidentally, but the best advice I can give is be open to a lot of things. Don't be scared to work from the ground up. Don't be scared to ask people if they need help. Be nice to people. Oh, I mean, that's nice. One thing all the time. You never know, who's going to be where 10 years from now. Be nice to people, and just be open to new possibilities and new ideas. And again, you never know where something's going to go. So keep an open mind, work hard. I mean, it's incredibly hard to do what you love. I'm not going to lie by any means and say that it's an easy life. It's really not. It's incredibly hard, and you work all the time, and it's all about self-promotion. And I mean, I'm really bad at the self-promoting part, but just go for it and hope for the best.
So you say that you sew. Do you do also prop making or wig styling or makeup or anything like that?
I do all my own wigs. It's very rare that I don't. Like my Etna costume, I wore a friend's wig. I Took 15 years learning how to sew. I'm not that great with props. I'm really good with small stuff, and the little bit that I've learned, I've tried to share because I don't have the patience for props. most of props is waiting for stuff to dry.
Right.
That is most of prop
true.
making. I'm trying to get more into it now. Like right now at Cypher, I'm learning prosthetics. We're making a man chest for me for Labyrinth this year. I'm going to be a man elf.
Oh, cool.
A MILF, if you will. And I was there when they cast me, and I'm going to be the one sculpting my chest and learning the whole process of how to do it. And I'm really excited about it because I do want to learn more things, and it's all about making yourself more valuable, I guess. So.
And then I wanted to touch on, you're going to a variety of different conventions for different things. So do you feel as a cosplayer, or have you run into this into the community, that if I'm going to an anime convention, I have to cosplay an anime character and not like my Star Trek uniform or something like that?
I mean, there are some people in the community that feel kind of purist about it. Like, I've seen a lot of people get angry about Homestuck cosplayers and angry about Adventure Time cosplayers.
Homestuck cosplayer.
I went to the Ren Fair this last weekend, and there was 2 young Homestuck cosplayers there.
No way.
And all my friends were like dogging on them and everything else. I'm like, guys, they're just having fun.
Yeah.
Like, their paint's gonna rub off. But they're just, I'm really at that point where I'm just like, as long as they're having fun and they're not being mean to anybody, you know, just leave them alone. What kind of started changing that viewpoint for me really hardcore was I was invited to MCM Expo in London to judge the Euro Cosplay Championships. And out there, the huge ratio was still Homestuck cosplayers. And it was very weird going to a completely different side of the world, and it was still really popular there. So, I mean, obviously, and they were just keeping to themselves and being, you know, Homestuck cosplayers.
Yep,
so,
yeah.
you know,
It's a different
whatever.
breed.
But, I mean, I've worn comic book stuff to anime conventions, and I've worn anime stuff to comic book conventions. The only convention that I go to that I try to keep them super separate, only because it's a rare opportunity to expand what I make, is Dragon Con. I've worn anime stuff to Dragon Con before, but I try to stick to like sci-fi and comics just because it's I don't get the chance to wear those particular things very often. So I like to try to wear more goofy things and like stuff that fits in with that crowd a little bit more.
All right, so I know you have a huge list. What are just a couple of the anime cosplays that you've done?
Well, my dream costume, which I made a few years ago, which was Battle Angel Alita, and she's been my favorite character since the dawn of ever. The costume that kind of started getting attention with people was definitely my Witch Hunter Robin, which was taken with a really crappy 3.2 megapixel camera in my backyard, which is a lot of fun reactions to that one. I mean, Mashu from C is one of my favorites. It's actually hard to even think of them without looking at the list of the. Inori from Guilty Crown. I did her goldfish dress, and that's probably the hardest costume I've ever constructed. Madoka, which my petticoat is 100 yards of hand ruffled ribbon in it. I'm working on Gadoka right now, which is huge, and it's got lights in it, and all of the galaxies are hand painted in the inside.
It's got goosebumps.
Please send us photos, because we definitely want to see
I
this.
definitely, yeah.
So where can people find you on the internet?
Facebook, I am Rufflebutt Cosplay. Pretty much anywhere else, I'm Rufflebutt. On Twitter, you can find me under Jessie Pridemore.
Nice. Well, we're going to head back to our debate, and we're going to finish this up with Mikasa versus Rei. But thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that we can come to a winner.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm enjoying the debate, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
It's me. I'm going to win.
I'm gonna win. Shut up.
Whoa.
Why does every interview have to end with me pushing you, Xander?
It just happens.
So uncivilized.